Great. Just a neat map, right? Hello, hello, welcome. I've just been doing a little bit of setup, trying to get myself oriented before I get into things. I know who you are, in one way or the other. How are you this evening? Nice, nice. Excellent. Gotta have the right hat on. You caught me at a good time. I was actually just finishing up figuring out the instructions I wanted to go through, so we're about to get into it here. I had to look up my instructions because the old instructions that I used to use to install WordPress no longer relevant. That's always fun. I'm glad you only got about an inch of snow so far. That's better than many, many more. We had a small amount of snow, but it all pretty much melted by the time that we went out to get Chinese food tonight. So that's excellent. All right. Oh, big stretch. I figured just for this first stream, I'm going to try to set up WordPress on my local machine. I haven't done any sort of preparation for this other than pulling up instructions and figuring out which one I wanted to use. I haven't even downloaded WordPress or anything like that, so we're just kind of taking it from the top, and it's going to play out how it's going to play out. So we'll go from there. So WordPress itself, as a hey Suntoast, how's it going? It was so good. It was nice to have Chinese tonight, actually. So WordPress, if you don't know it, is a content management system, which is a fancy way to say it builds a website, or it can do a lot more than that. I mean, that's why it's called a content management system and not just website builder. But essentially, is for what most people are going to do with it. It builds a website, and it makes it really easy to do so. At least once you get it all set up. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm just going to try to set up a copy of WordPress on my own local machine, make sure that we get it up and running, and that'll be great. So WordPress runs off of PHP, which is a programming language that runs on the server. It's just any of a number of server-side programming languages, but that's the foundational kind of programming language it's written in. MySQL is the database system that it works on. So those two work together. And then it can be served by any number of web servers, such as like Apache or Nginx. So what I need to do to make sure that I can install WordPress on my machine is to make sure that I have those things. So I'm going to install something called MAMP here on the Make WordPress Core website. This is the website for the WordPress project that hosts the open source version of WordPress itself. They have nice instructions for getting you all set up with a local environment. So I'm doing that right now. And we're going to install MAMP, which is Mac OS. That's the operating system that I'm running. I don't run Windows. I don't have a Windows machine and haven't for a decade, but I have this. So it's Mac OS, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. That's kind of what it stands for. So there's actually a nice little version of MAMP that's free. They've got MAMP Pro, but they've got a free one that just allows you to run a web server locally on your machine without any sort of issue. You know, there's actually a lot of newspapers that do run on WordPress. So I work for Automatic in a division called WordPress VIP, which is WordPress, but at a very massive scale, like enterprise size scale. And we have a lot of media customers because it is really well set up for that. WordPress was originally a blogging software, kind of just, built out of a need to have some alternative to like Blogger back in the day. It was meant to kind of have your own personal website sort of thing, but people quickly realized, oh, this can manage hundreds of thousands of pages of content and kind of keep it neatly organized and have editorial abilities and everything for that. So we host like time.com. I think that's run off of WordPress. And there's all sorts of media companies out there, including the news or the paper, that's running it as well. So yeah, it can be any size site, from the small to the absolutely massive. So I'm going to download MAMP. And it looks like they have a version out there for Windows as well. So this should work in the same way for setting this up on Windows machine. Let's see, I've got Mac OS ARM, I believe. I don't need that, so I will wait for that to download forever, whenever that happens. Gosh, look at those download speeds. It's amazing I'm on the internet at all. It must be a very bad internet night. Well, while that's going on, I'm also going to download WordPress from the wordpress.org/download. And there's definitely not going to be any repercussions to downloading multiple things at a time right now. At least WordPress seems to be downloading a lot faster. Oh. Now, I've had the good fortune to work with WordPress as a piece of software for over half my life now, I think. I started out as just kind of tinkering around with websites and copying them down and editing them, just basically stealing wholesale and trying to figure out how they worked. That was before they got as complicated as they are now, but you can still kind of do that. And then I started freelancing and building websites for other people. And I realized that not everyone wanted to write HTML and CSS by hand, and figure that out to whenever they needed to update things. So I was looking through a few different content management systems for how people could edit it on the back end and have their website update automatically without needing to mess with code. And this was before Squarespace, or Wix or Weebly or any of those site builders that are out there. This was back when you really had to kind of know at least somewhat what you were doing to uh, get something off the ground. And I came up with a few that were free because I was poor, as I was just starting freelance and I was very young. Um, and WordPress out of those three. So the three were WordPress, Joomla, and Drupal. And those were all PHP based systems. So I kind of knew PHP and MySQL. It just made sense for me to use a language that I knew. And out of those three, WordPress was the most user friendly. And that means a lot to me, right? Like, uh, I am at my core a support person, and I really care about the user experience when it comes to things because I want people to feel like they're capable of doing things themselves. So WordPress was the easy answer for me on that one. Jesus, why is that taking so long? This one's at least going quicker. I don't know why it's going quicker now. Anyway, I guess we're just going to chat for a minute because there's not much more that I can do other than wait for it to download. I mean, I guess that's not true. I can at least show you a bit of WordPress because WordPress has this cool thing called WordPress Playground, which is a way that you can use WordPress, at least to some extent, without even installing it onto your browser. So you can go to WordPress Playground, like I just searched, but it's wordpress.org/slash playground. And you just click the button and it loads a copy of WordPress into your browser. As it says down here at the very bottom that you can't quite see, it says, "This is a cool, fun, experimental WordPress running in your browser. All your changes are private and gone after a page refresh." But if you want to learn a little bit about WordPress, like this is kind of a nice way to go about it. Yeah. So like this is the theme that they're using right now. So WordPress works on a system of like there's a core WordPress that runs the website, right? And then there are themes which control how the website looks and feels on the front end for your visitors. And then there are plugins that allow you to extend the capabilities. So these are the three concepts that I'll be talking about as I go through this. But yeah, so this theme that we're using is going to be the 2024 theme. Each year, WordPress comes out with a theme to kind of show off the capabilities of WordPress and where they feel like WordPress is going to be going. So this is the latest one, and I'm really excited about it because it's the first one that uses something called full site editing, which back in the day, it used to be that if you wanted to create a certain template or specific template part, like headers and footers or pages and posts or custom post types or anything like that, you would have to write PHP code to make it happen, right? You'd be very limited in what the content editor could do. But now things have progressed to the point that you can actually go in and change entire templates based on just going into the browser and making like blocks move around. So it's way more approachable. I'm not going to say it's more intuitive, but it's way more approachable than just the development stuff for allowing you to kind of really maximize what you can get out of a site. So this is honestly really neat. What do you mean I used a code? I didn't use a code yet. Am I speaking in code? I'm sorry if I'm speaking a little out there. But I'll show you what I mean. It's cool. All right, so let's take a look at the back end of the site and I can show you kind of what else we've got going on here, right? So this is what you see as an editor inside WordPress. This is the dashboard. This is kind of the first page that you see after you log in as an editor or an administrator. I don't use this page a whole lot, but you can customize it to be what you want. The main reason I don't use it a lot is because I don't have a single WordPress site that I use a ton. I'm a support engineer, so mostly I'm helping other people fix their sites and not administrating a constant site. I do want to change this, especially over this series. I want to create a website for myself, both on my computer and then also like out on the web. And I want to build a whole community around that and bring you all along for the ride. So I might end up changing the dashboard and using it and everything else. But as of right now, I kind of just ignore it and move on to other things. Yeah, they've made things much more approachable for visual learners. I will show you what I mean when I say that it's not always the most intuitive, but that's okay. That's fine. We can all learn together because a lot of the stuff, I just learned during a hackathon that I had this past week. Actually, working with the full site editor is my first time working with it. So I'm new to a lot of these concepts too, and I think there's no better way than to learn together, right? All right, so let me give you more of a tour. So moving on from the dashboard itself, there are posts. Posts are the core of WordPress. When you actually come down to it, a post is the very basic form of data that you can have in the system. And most things that look like they're not posts are posts, right? So posts as a concept are non-hierarchical and they are meant to be read chronologically. This is your blog post, right? This is where the roots of WordPress being a blogging system really comes out in full. So as you can see here, we have a hello world post that we can take a look at. Let's take a look at the editor. This editor, with the very like clear open sky and everything else, this is actually a new editor compared to the old editor of WordPress. So if you've been in WordPress before and you're like, wow, that looks different, you are correct. It does look different because it is. So this is called Gutenberg, and this is marking the shift from old kind of text-based editing and very text-focused editing into block-based editing. And this allows you to do just a lot more things in terms of content blocks and moving them around and being able to see them visually. Let me show you a little bit of what I mean. So I like to have this view open. This is called the list view or outline. And this allows me to see all the blocks as they're ordered. Let's add a new block. So let's go up here to the plus. Let's say I want to add, I don't know, a quote. We like quotes. Well, this is a quote. And so as you can see, there's, another sort of item here that comes in sort of a box, right? It's got its styles built into it. You can have, a thing here. And like if I wanted to, I can actually take those as blocks and move them around each other on this side. The quote block actually has blocks inside of it. As you can see, this is just a paragraph inside of the quote. If I wanted to, I could take this quote and move it inside here as well. So these are kind of the blocks that we're talking about. Each is a single piece of content, and they can be nested in one another. There are certain blocks to be able to make columns so that you can have them sitting next to each other. But this is where the real power of Gutenberg comes out, because you can build an entire site in this way. Right now, we're just working with a post, right? So it's a single blog post, but you can edit entire templates that change all sorts of posts, all sorts of pages, all sorts of that, If you think that's a lot of tabs, I've got some unfortunate things to tell you about my browsing habits. Being a support engineer, well, I've got a lot of tabs, but my computer actually isn't running slow. I think there's just a particularly slow download from that one site. Because WordPress downloaded at like 600 kilobytes a second, whereas this one's downloading at 50 kilobytes a second. So it's very much my connection between, I don't know, my computer and this particular website. And if I knew of a mirror download place to get it from, I'd go there. But honestly, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to show off WordPress in whatever form I can. I actually have some other tools that I can show in that way too. But, you know, I'm going to go through a basic tour of the block editor and stuff, and we'll just get where we get. All right, so there's lots and lots of blocks, as you probably saw within the editor here. We've got all sorts of things. We've got code. So like, you know, if you want to display computer code in a specially formatted way, there's that. You can write poems in verse. There's also other media types, right? So we can add an image. So let's see. I can upload something. What do we got? Let's just put on this WordPress logo. No content disposition. What's a content disposition? Don't throw things that I don't know at me right now. This might be a problem with the playground. Because it's not actually like installed anywhere, it's just an active copy. I may not be able to actually upload media to it. Yeah, interesting. I mean, it does say storage none. So like, here, storage type. Stored in the browser. Let's see if we can do that. Sure, leave the page, whatever. I don't know. We'll find out. As I said, we're doing this together. All right, let's go back to our hello world post. It's going to be all changed because I didn't save anything, but let's put in an image again. Now let's see if we can actually upload something this time. That'd be cool. Nope. All right, it's not going to work for me. That's fine. But yeah, we can go through some of the other blocks that we've got here too, because there's not only images, there's audio. There's a way to make like a cover image so it goes all the way across but has a text block on top. It's called cover. You can add your own videos. You can also attach things from outside, because there's a way to add YouTube videos or Twitter, Vimeo. There's all sorts of things that you can add to this. Most of the time, I'm really working with basic blocks. I work with columns when I want columns. I'm working with images and I'm working with paragraphs. Sometimes I'll use like the cover or something, but most of the time I'm not using a lot of the special blocks. So I try to only focus on those other things. There are also patterns that allow you to kind of do a whole bunch of blocks at once, right? So let's say I wanted to create an about page, but I don't know what I want my about page to kind of look like. I can come here to patterns and about, and I can choose a about section, you know, here that works, and then I can go into them and I can change the images from here. And I can change the text, and, you know, within my outline, I can kind of move these around if I wanted to have things in different spaces. So it's giving you a lot to kind of work with just right out of the box. You can also select media here. All right. See you, Suntoast. Doing laundry is great. Honestly, I love doing laundry. It can be annoying, but then you have clean clothes, and clean clothes is nice. From media, you can also select Openverse. Openverse is, I believe, another project that is connected to Automatic in some way, but it's meant to be an open image repository and repository for other media that can just be used by anybody. They're trying to make accessible the ability to get images and such. So yeah, that's a neat little feature. That's fine. All right. You can also access the media library outside of the context of posts. So this is just where all your images, all your music, all your videos, PDFs, whatever will be found. Things that aren't traditional posts, but also every item of media is a post. It's just a special type of post that holds the data for like the image itself. It just changes some things around. But on the back end, in the database, these are posts. Pages are kind of the opposite of posts. Like they're a special type of post that are hierarchical, but don't really care about time, right? Because when you think of like the pages of a website, your abouts, your contact page, you will have things nested, right? Within like about may have like here's our benefits, here's our jobs, here's our whatever. But like you don't care when those pages were written necessarily. You might care when they're updated, but you don't care necessarily where they're written. So in that sort of way, they're kind of the opposite of posts. Additionally, so because WordPress started as a blogging platform, comments are kind of baked into this as well. You don't have to have comments on your website. You really don't need them, but if you do want them on certain posts, you can have them. You can have a connection through your community using WordPress. That's kind of all the post types that are baked into WordPress. You can extend this, however, through plugins or through making other sorts of custom posts in your theme and such. So you can actually create different sections for any sort of data that you want to keep. The example that I like to pull out is, say you're a bookstore and you want to put all your books on the website, and you don't necessarily want them to be posts or pages. You want them to have their own individual listings, right? You can create a book post type with its own data and features that you can keep things like genre and rating and price, all those sort of neat little things. And then you can create a new one and store it, and it'll have its own little section in the sidebar. This is also how people create their own online stores. There's an automatic product called WooCommerce that is very popular. It is probably the most popular e-commerce platform right now within the WordPress space, but there are others. And it just uses a custom post type to allow you to store your orders, your items that you're selling, all that sort of thing. And like it's a really complex system. It is a fully featured e-commerce platform, but on the back end, it is just making all of these out of post types. So that's kind of why WordPress is so extensible. You can create anything out of a post. The other parts of the administration section for WordPress, there's a section for appearance. Here's where you can actually select other themes other than the one that's currently be using, or you can customize the theme that you are using. So we'll click on customize. Because this is a full site editing theme, the customize button sends you to the editor, where you can actually go in and change things like the navigation and add things to the navigation. There's whole different styles for the website, so you can change the whole like colors and feels just right here. We'll do that and we'll save it. You can see all the pages that you have right here, but you can also change all the different templates for the specialty pages. Then we actually do have like your specific page templates that you can go into. We won't go into that too deep until we get into templates, and I probably won't cover that for quite a while, but they're here. And then you can also manage the patterns that you have available to work on through here. These are all locked in because they're all part of this theme, but you could also like say I wanted to take this one and make it different. I can duplicate it and it's a copy. Let's say, hey, I want to change this to something else, or I can change which categories things go into. But then I can modify this however I want. Let's see. Let's say instead of having this image below, I want to have this image above, and I can just do that. and I can save it. And then if I go back to here, you'll see I've still got that project description copy, and then I can use this in posts. Yeah, so that's a neat way to take something that already exists, modify it, and then save it for future use. So that's kind of the full site editor portion that's available here. Plugins, as I said, modify functionality. There's a lot of common plugins that gets used. Advanced Custom Fields is a really neat plugin that allows you to add extra data to your WordPress posts or to create custom post types off the fly instead of having to create them through code. So it's very useful for a whole range of customizing WordPress. There's all sorts of form software out there to get as complex as you need for collecting data or collecting information from users. There's all sorts of like event management plugins, so you can have a calendar, you can invite people to events. Yeah, anything that you do with like a normal calendar program like Google Calendar or like Outlook Calendar, you can create a plugin to help you manage, or not create a plugin, you can use a plugin off the shelf to help you do that. As I said, there's e-commerce plugins, there's forum and community plugins. Gosh, I mean, so there's so many plugins available on WordPress.org that it's just kind of hard to quantify what you can't do with it. There's just absolutely so much. Beyond that, we've got user management. So out of the box, there's a few different roles. There's subscribers who really can't do anything other than view content, but they can still have an account. If you have comments available only to subscribers or people with an account, they will still be able to comment. So that's kind of how you can limit things on that side. There are contributors that I think can write new things but can't edit anything. There are, what are the different types? I should be able to, let's just add a new user. Yeah, roles. So yeah, so subscriber, contributor, okay, author, I think has more permissions than the contributor. I think they can edit their own things again, whereas contributors I don't think can once they've submitted it. Editor can edit the things of other people, posts, pages, whatever of other people. And then the administrator can do everything and change site settings, change themes and plugins and all that. Obviously, this isn't a comprehensive overview of what these roles do. There's documentation on that, but those are kind of the basic categories that are built in. Now, you can expand, just like anything else, you can expand WordPress's capabilities to add other roles, especially if you are adding other post types or other features to WordPress. Like, say you do want to have a community forum. You're going to need people to moderate that. So probably with that plugin that gives you the community forum will be specific user roles for moderating that forum. So yeah. And then there's tools for importing, exporting things of all sorts of different types. And this is where your site health dashboard is. Just general WordPress administration tools. And then the settings for your WordPress installation itself. And what I mean by that is, so under general, we have what's your site title, what's your tagline. These will show up in different places in your theme and will also show up, you know, when you're looking at my WordPress website. We'll make that our WordPress website. See, they'll change things like that. They're often little cosmetic things on that side, but there's also the administrators, like the core administrator's email address, whether or not other people can register, what roles people have when they register, how you want your dates to look. Like there's all sorts of just general kind of system settings here. You can even change how your links look for your posts. Obviously, they're not going to look exactly like this because the scope this, I think, relates to the playground instance. Um, but when you're running your own site, you can kind of change how the URLs look depending on how you want things to look. Traditionally, blogging was kind of like every post was like, here's the date, and then here's the title of the blog. But if you're not running like a traditional blog, if you're running a website and you want things to look different, especially if you have like different categories of content and you want it to be like, my great blog, reviews, and then review 1, review 2, review 3, or, books, book title, book title, book title, that sort of thing. So you can kind of change all sorts of things. There's just a lot that you can do with WordPress and not a lot that you can't. So, yeah. This is going slow as molasses still. I thought, after giving a tour, it would have been done. But, here it is. It's fine. Tell you what, I'm going to quickly go get a drink. I think the lesson here is that maybe I should have been a little bit more prepared. That's fine. I'm back. Nice glass of water. Gotta stay hydrated. I tell you, I am just, I'm really not used to talking this much in a row. But that is part of the territory, I guess. I have to say, it's giving me warnings about how low my bitrate is. That might have something to do with how slow this is. My phone's been pretty good for actually running streams from, but I'm wondering if I've overdone a bit of a threshold here. Let's see. Still connected. Oh, you know what? No, that's right. No, that should be absolutely fine. The Wi-Fi is being funky. That's what I get for streaming over Wi-Fi. That's all right. Hi, hello. Choppy, choppy, choppy. Oh, goodness. Oh, that was from when I did the speed test. That's why it got all choppy. I understand. It's doing fine now. Well, more or less. All right, whatever. I know this is going to tank my stream again, but I have to know. I mean, that's fine. Okay, that was less fine. Why am I on T-Mobile? Oh, right. Yeah, it's like blazing fast. The heck is up with this? Jesus. All right, fine. It's like blazing fast, but someone needs to tell this website because I think its bandwidth is out. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think this would be the longest part of it. But, you know, hey, it is what it is, right? It's like when I gotta do Reddit recap. Whatever the bullshit that is, right? A few minutes. This. Yeah, okay. You gotta balance the accessibility here, though. Man, that's been a long time. I haven't seen that logo in like forever. You don't understand how nostalgic this is for me, you know? Like, I might be getting off to a bit of a rough start with it all, but like, it was kind of a rough start for me when I first got started with WordPress. I wasn't using Mac back then, so things were a bit different. It's harder to do development on a Windows machine than it is a Mac machine, but like I wasn't doing development. I was, you know, I put together some HTML and CSS and sometimes did very light programming with PHP. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, this was foundational learning for me, which actually put me towards like doing some more like real development. At which point I kind of hit a ceiling for what I was able to comprehend. But like, there's so much power in this system that, you know, it felt important to bring back some of that. I miss the old web a whole lot. There was a lot worth being done. And, you know, then a few people got a hold of it, tried to take it over in the guise of making it more accessible for folks. And now we're in a situation where we've got Facebook and Twitter and all these big players that control everything that you see and hear on the internet. I mean, even me right now, I'm here by the grace of Google, right? So, I kind of miss when people run a server out of their house and just these weird little forums of like a few dozen people hanging out because they had some shared interests, but, you know, not this mega platforming stuff. So, Even the troubles that I'm having right now, they're still nostalgic in a way. Because like when it comes down to it, I would much rather be dealing with these sort of issues than what I could be dealing with. Like I'd rather deal with technical issues, issues that have a clear and easy solution for me as an individual, than dealing with the society level issues and the great amounts of inequality that come with this corporate control of every part of our lives. Every part of our lives. So, you know, cheers to the little problems. No way. Or no worries. Honestly, probably a great use of your time because I'm still waiting for this darn thing to download. I did my little like tour of WordPress backend sort of thing, and ended up waxing nostalgia for the old internet and what it meant to kind of deal with technical problems that were different, you know, than the sort of problems that we deal with now because of the platforms that we have and the sort of corporate control that has happened. So, yeah. I know, right? Uh I could go have dinner again and it would probably be done. And I tested my internet speed, right? Because I'm like, no, this doesn't make any sense. I have the best internet that I've had in weeks. Like my speed test on both my laptop and my phone, the hotspot itself, is like, yeah, you are blazing fast speeds. And I'm like, really? Tell the download. So yeah, that's what I've been working with right now. Uh yeah, not doing much otherwise. I also being able to walk away from it all. Like I'm so interconnected now that I don't know what I would do if I didn't have this consistent connection, which is probably not great for my mental health. But that's just the truth of the matter. Uh, but like I do think about it often. I do miss when the internet was something that you like turned on, you know, one way or another. Like you could just not have it in your pocket. You weren't accessible all the time. Sometimes you could just be alone or like be with your loved ones and it was fine. I've been finding myself dreaming about having like a rotary phone on the wall that I could just pick up, you know, and like put it down and it'd be like in a very fixed location so that like I had an incentive to put it back down. And it's not like I want it because I like the convenience of what I have to some extent, but also I kind of want it. I used to let my phone die. I used to be that type of person. Um, Unfortunately, I went through a situation where uh, my partner went through, not my current partner, former partner, went through a big illness and found themselves feeling very vulnerable because of that. And letting my phone die kind of stopped being an option in the sense that they would worry if I was out and, you know, not in communication and such. And I get that. I get that. So I've tried to make sure that I have a working phone from then on, and that was almost a decade ago, maybe a decade ago. So yeah, it's been a minute. I do still like lose track of it and let it die from time to time or anything. Like, I'm not. It's not as bad as it sounds. But I do have a little bit of a phone addiction that I definitely am trying to step away from, or at least trying to address differently. Because, like, I don't want to be on social media all the time. It's not great for the whole mental health thing. Like, no, being that connected all the time isn't great for the whole melon. But so I'm trying to engage with it a little bit more intentionally, and knowing at least what I'm doing when I do connect with it. I'm trying to connect with people more individually, or, you know, even in this matter, I know I'm not exactly connecting with people individually. Well, my stats say I am, but you know what I mean? Like, even with broadcast media, I'm trying to be very intentional between the space that's like here to here and like here to here, and communicating with people instead of just kind of soaking in it. That helps. That helps with my mental health. I like sitting and talking to people. Yeah, I get burnt out real easy too. I haven't exactly not been burnt out for like a while. I'm better than I was. But that's not saying a whole lot, if I'm being honest. Like, you know, that's not me being self-deprecating or anything. It's just this last decade and some has been an absolute lot. And I think almost everybody knows what I'm talking about. Which is, like, everyone's had their own things, and we've also had some global things. But those global things impact all of our own personal things. And I don't know anyone who's not tired. Like, just straight up tired down to the very core. The absolute soul. That's kind of a bummer. Like, if I'm being honest, that's kind of a bummer. Yeah, we have. We've had crisis after crisis, pretty much from the moment we've been born. And in response to all those crises, people have started to accept the police state, which is less than ideal. So it's just kind of leading to more crises. And I don't think we're built for this. I really don't. Like, what does it say that this is all that we can talk about, too? Like, I think it's good that we do talk about it, but I don't know. I find that it's very difficult to have any other sort of conversation that doesn't come back to, like, everything being on fire. Literally or figuratively. And you know, while I'm not as plugged into the news as I could otherwise be, I do get a certain amount, just a hair, because of some of our customers being major news outlets. So when I'm having to go and troubleshoot an issue that they're having with their website, I do get at least a cursory understanding of what's going on in the news. And it's just like not great anywhere, it seems. So that's cool. It's crawling along. We're getting there. sometime in this decade, I will have this program to be able to install onto my computer, which is like step zero of this whole process. Like the rest of the process shouldn't take a whole lot of time, I don't think. But, you know, it's not the most interesting portion of the process. Whatever. This is like the equivalent, I think, of Minecraft streamers when they just gotta like dig a fucking hole while they're on stream, you know? We're just mining away. It's different than when you got a time lapse for it. Gosh, you know what? Look at this. Look at this. I don't know how easily you can see this, but it's not a large file. It is 428 megabytes, which is like, okay, it's a little sizable, but I completed the WordPress download, which is a tenth of the size, in like 10 seconds. It's not even that big. Like, I wish it was. That would at least make more sense. But nope. It's just they've got limited bandwidth on their website. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what it is that they are having so many downloads at the same time that it's overwhelming their servers. And like, what do you do about that? Nothing. You wait for it to do what it's gonna do. There are, like, if I was doing this for myself, there are other technical ways that I could go about this. But I'm trying to keep this as accessible as possible, and MAMP is like the most accessible way to set up a web server on Windows or Mac. It just allows you to run a program and configure the settings, and then like it works. Whereas like if I were to do it the like system engineering way, I would just be like editing a bunch of configuration files and downloading programs through Homebrew, which really only works on Linux-based machines. Yeah, it's not even a gig. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a tiny-ass program, all things considered. And I don't have anything else going on my computer. Like, despite the number of tabs I have open, which is like not a lot. Less than 20? Which, I mean, you know, I've probably gotten like 9,000 tabs on my phone, and used to have like 40, 45, maybe more tabs than you could see the little icon for. I mean, there's a reason I have a MacBook Pro for work, and it's because Chrome's a memory hog. The other software I'm developing is so much less intensive, and I'm not even like developing software, right? I'm troubleshooting software. And you know how I troubleshoot software largely? I go to a website, right? And I read the data on the website, whether it be like server logs or like graphs for performance or whatever else. I'm mostly just looking at websites. And that's the most like energy intensive my computer is, and that they still give me like full access to a developer rig. So I mean, I can't complain. I shouldn't complain, but it does feel a little bit weird, and that's not the reason my download's going slow at all. Oh, just too funny. You know, I said I was going to show it real, so I guess I'm doing a good job of that. Gotta set those expectations real low. That way, when we do something cool, it'll actually feel cool. At least the music's good. I don't know how well y'all can hear that. We've got some real chill vibes tonight. You know, there was a time that I really wanted to be like a radio DJ. Like, I thought it would be just absolutely awesome to just kind of be able to spin records and talk to people on air. I feel very much like I'm doing something similar to that right now, which is kind of cool, which is absolutely kind of cool. Feels a little awkward because I'm not really used to this sort of thing, but I like it. It's definitely one of the things I thought about doing on Twitch, but like all the music I'd want to like share with people is going to be like copyrighted and stuff, and I just oh, I don't want to deal with copyright like by any means. I think I've got some friends who are into like music and stuff, and I think if they would let me like share their music and do that sort of thing, that would be a lot more enjoyable. And then I can, give them shout outs, be like, oh, this band's playing here, there, whatever. So that'd be really cool. That might be in our future. Not in our near future, but that might be uh, down the road. I've got to build some relationships, a bit more. Uh, that little pizza be filling in. It's just that far. Another 100 subscribers and we'll just make it right on in. Gotta do the YouTube thing, right? You know, it's interesting that, like, looking at myself through OBS and everything else gives me a look into myself that I don't really get normally. Like, I don't know. I'm sure everyone else has kind of the same perspective too, but like when you're living inside yourself, inside your shell, you kind of have a perspective on how, like, how you look and how you move. And even in mirrors or photographs or even video, it only matches up so much. Uh, you only get so much of a perspective of yourself. But the interesting thing about streaming is that with the camera kind of being on all the time, and like, I don't know, I've got 3 or 4 different images of myself up right now within OBS and YouTube Studio and the thumbnail that I was creating earlier. Like, I'm getting this very, like, multifaceted perspective of myself. And I see the mannerisms in me and the emotions in myself that, like, typically I kind of notice in other people and don't notice as much in myself. It's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie, it is a little bit weird. I think it helps me kind of come to terms with it a little bit. But yeah, it's kind of nice. I like being able to see more of who I am, even if who I am is a bit awkward. I suppose that's probably just part of my charm. I feel like I'm going to end stream just as this finishes downloading. And I'll have to edit the title of the stream to be just chatting. Hang out with me while I download a single file. In fact, let's do that now. There, a much more accurate title. I did learn how to isolate my audio, which I'm very excited for because it means that I can, if I want to, turn off Spotify for you all while still having it playing for me. So if I do want to play some copyrighted tunes, you can watch me jam out to them, but not hear them. I don't know. Intellectual property stuff is just kind of weird. And really, like, whenever things gets a little bit weird and like in legalese sort of things, I just like to try to avoid it. Which is, I think, one of the reasons that I'm trying to aim for kind of like a platform on open technology to let people really control their own sort of stuff. Oh yeah. Glad you like the playlist. It is very chill vibes. These have been particularly good to get through my workday as well. They're nice to kind of sit and put on background music, so I'm not too amped up during the day. We've been having a really fun time tonight, just downloading a single file. As you can see, this one file is downloading at the slowest speed known to man. I don't know why. My other files downloaded just fine. But this is what we're doing now, so, yeah. So here's the funny thing though. My internet on both speed tests that I ran, both on my phone and on the computer, I'm having like the best internet that I've had in like weeks. Like 51 megabits per second download, almost 10 upload. Like, it ain't our internet that's the problem. It's wherever that file's hosted that's the problem. It's weird to not have our internet be the problem. I'm used to our internet being the problem. It's absolutely strange that it's not. That's alright. You know, I said I wanted to keep this real, and this is as real as it gets. Sometimes you just gotta sit around and vibe while you're waiting for your software to download. Yeah, it is interesting. I'd say a large part of my day is spent vibing. Like, not just vibing. I tend to be like reading something or trying to understand what a customer is saying or looking at graphs. But I try to do it as vibey as possible. And sometimes it is just waiting for a piece of software to download. But you know, they say a lot of life is waiting, so might as well get good at it, right? And at least with this, it's been interesting to sit and chat with people, or if no one's here for me to chat with, I'm just chatting with myself, practicing this sort of like inter-camera relationship, which is neat. It's kind of like having a therapist, but you know, not the same. It's not a replacement for a mental health professional by any means, but it gets me to talk in kind of the same manner. Just having a point of reflection, you know? And I'm trying to practice all those good things that my like video coaching teacher has been talking to me about to build that emotional connection just like through the lens, and use my hands more because, you know, motion's good for something. I don't really remember. I'm definitely a great student. What's terrible is that I'm just not very good at articulating it. I get the point of the exercises. I am good at modulating. I'm good at changing things through. I'm good at having energy and looking at the camera and looking away from the camera. I mean, working with a camera as an autistic person is not that much different than learning to work with neurotypical people. You gotta look at them directly for the right amount of time, but not too much time. So, you know, make it look natural. Talk with your hands. It's a different form of masking, right? I think I do talk with my hands a lot, but I like it. It's another way for me to like be in touch with my body and like move my body. It's also the same as why I like to fidget so much. I don't know. I think it's taunting me. Like, look, it's so close. It's such a sliver. It's so close. It's taunting me. Oh, it's going quickly. We might. Oh no. Ah! So close. We got it. Just on the edge of my seat. Ah! A success. We downloaded a single file. Talk about triumph of the century right here. Just absolutely triumph of the century. Ooh. Yeah. So I guess let's install this, right? That's the first thing that we gotta do. Installing MAMP. So yeah, let's open the installer. And it's gonna ask me to go through some things. It's just a guided piece of installation. So there's a README. That's my computer. That's the things. Great. License agreement. Absolutely read this whole thing. Because I'm not. Yeah, it's fine. Alright, 1.64 gigs. 1.64 gigs. I think I should have that amount of space. Uh-huh. We gotta log in. Alright. There we go. Ah, GTA drama. Excellent. Catch me up later. Alright, now we're installing MAMP. They tell you step by step how to do it here on the screen, but I'm just kind of running along with what the display tells me to do. Alright, installation was successful. Great. That's what we like to see. So we can close that and move the installer to trash. And now we want to start MAMP. So it says MAMP welcome page should automatically open in your browser after installation. It did not do that. All right, let's do what we normally do. Hit MAMP. It's not in my applications. How do I know if it's running? Well, that's a great question, isn't it? Let's see, is it in my applications? No. Wait, there it is. MAMP. MAMP. Open. Program trying to hide from me. All right. Let's get that out of the way. MAMP is running in my taskbar. Oh, here we are. All right. Go away. Now we need to configure MAMP. So let's see, document root, applications, MAMP, htdocs. So that means that all of our websites will have to be put into this folder. Which I guess is fine. And it looks like I can use Apache or Nginx, which is honestly really cool. I'm going to select the Apache server because that's what I know most what I'm most familiar with. I guess we'll start there. PHP version, let's use 8.2. Yeah, I know it's an update, but all of our recent code is on 8 point something. Let's do 8 point. All right. And I guess start servers. Something's happening. So this is a portable web server that you can run to have things run on your own computer, right? And this isn't just for like serving WordPress, but like if you want to write your own websites and everything, or even write your own PHP programs and be able to run them, like you can do that with this. So this is really kind of basics for any sort of PHP development, which is often considered an older style of development. I think PHP 8 has caught up a lot with other sorts of programming languages, at least from what I hear. I'm not a developer, so I don't really have an opinion either way. PHP is just kind of what I know the best, and it's what runs WordPress, so it's what we're using here. You know, that's it. But this is what you would use to run any sort of PHP programs. So let's see, localhost 88888. That is, localhost means our computer. The colon is then the port number. And then this is running from the MAMP folder, language English. Let's close our playground. Let's close the downloads page. Yeah, we can go there. So this is what it says with starting MAMP. The MAMP welcome page should automatically open in your browser. It didn't automatically do it, but I was able to pull it up once I got it started. This page contains links to your PHP configuration, which is PHP info. So we can go that. This tells you everything about your PHP installation. I don't use this particularly much, but it shows that PHP is running and working, and that's really what I care about. So there's that. Let's see, what else does it say? Welcome page also shows you the MySQL connection information you'll need when you install WordPress. So we've got MySQL here. This is the information that I'm going to be needing to install WordPress. There's the PHP information. All right, great. The MAMP control panel is what they're talking about there. MAMP clearly looks very different these days, but it's still the same sort of functions. Start servers, stop servers, you got your preferences. So, great, excellent. Tells you how to stop servers, tells you how to configure MAMP. I'm just gonna set the default. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it default for now. Oh, well, yeah. So I can change the port number to be the default port number for websites, which is 80. If I want to be able to just go to localhost, slash WordPress trunk. But like, I'm going to be honest, there is a possibility that I'll run multiple servers at once. And I have Docker installed, which is a way that you can run multiple like separate containers on your computer to set up different things. I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm just going to set up the basic thing. It works. So, all right. And it says create a MySQL database with MAMP. So you'll need to open PHP admin to create a MySQL database. So let's see. Oh, no, not that one. Let's see. Oh. Root WordPress trunk. Okay. So let's see. PHP. Oh, there it was. PHP myadmin is a way to control the database without having to write commands in your command line. So let's open that up. And they're saying create a database. Click databases in the top nav bar. So we've got databases. Great. Then we can create it with the database name and UTF-8. So I'm just going to do WordPress. And we're going to create one. Great. No tables found in database, but it's there. We can see it. All right. That has shutting it down. So now let's install WordPress from a zip file as for next. This gives me the installations for it. So create a new database in your local web server. We just did that. And now we need to download and extract WordPress. I have already done that. So let's go to our downloads and we have it in folder right here. And we need to put this under applications, MAMP, and HP docs. So let's open this. And then let's open a new Finder window. Let's do a go to folder. We're going to do /applications, MAMP, /htdocs. And I'll open that and we've got our folder here. Let's change the view. I'd rather have it as a list for now. All right. And so I unzipped that file and now it says WordPress. So I'm just going to move WordPress into the htdocs folder, which is your root folder for Apache. Great. And it says a new folder will appear in your local web server's public folder named WordPress. Rename this folder to WordPress trunk. I don't think I will, thank you. I don't need to. It'll just be under a different name. It'll be fine. All right, and it says there are two ways that you can create the wp-config.php file. There's a manual way to do it, but I think I'm just going to let it do it during the automated process. So we have our web server still at localhost, and then we should be able to find it under just Word. Let's leave that alone. We'll do localhost 888/WordPress. And it opens up the WordPress installation screen for me. I'm gonna put this in English. Alright, welcome to WordPress. Before getting started, you'll need the following items: database name, username, password, host, table prefix. And this is it automatically creating the WP config file for me. So let's go. Let's do this. So the database name that we created is WordPress, right? So WordPress is WordPress. Username is root. Password is root. These are all defaults for MAMP. I think since I'm not exposing this to the outside world, I think it's fine to leave them as the defaults. If I was exposing this to the outside world, these are the passwords that need to be the strongest, the absolute strongest. Any access to your database is dangerous. Database host is going to be localhost, and I'm just going to leave the standard WordPress prefix. You know, whatever. All right. So WordPress says that it can communicate with the database. We're doing this right. Great. So now I can run the installation. All right. And now it's giving me a welcome screen and it asks me what I want my site to be. So, you know, we're going to change these later, but this will be what I start with. Site title is going to be, I don't know, let's do WordPress tutorials. Username. All right. You don't get to see this. Not that it matters. All right. You know, I'm going to hide that too. All right. So I just filled in my email and didn't really change any of the other default settings, and I hit continue and it said success. WordPress was installed, like literally like that, like no time at all. And I have my password or my username and my chosen password. I can do login. I have it in my password manager. Great. If you don't have a password manager, I do highly recommend that you get one. There is an open source one available for free that you can get. And if you need information on that, let me know. I'll get that for you. But it is so helpful to be able to have strong passwords when you have a password manager. So do yourself a favor, right? So as you saw on WordPress Playground, this is the dashboard for WordPress. So just with waiting for that single file to download, we were able to install WordPress in less than 5 minutes after. Like, I probably could have done it quicker if I was more focused, but I'm not. So we were able to have WordPress. So if you want to see it on the front end of the site, we can do that. It's exactly the same as you saw before because it is just the default installation, but we now have WordPress running on our own computer. And this means that if I want to create a site for myself to use, right? Like let's say that, for instance, I just want to create a diary, right? Or a journal of some sort where I can keep information about what's going on in my life. I can do that. I can do that right here. If I want to practice creating sites for other people, which is something that we're going to do throughout these tutorials, we can do that here too. But, you know, despite it taking a several hour stream or a couple hour stream, it doesn't take all that long to install WordPress on your own computer to just get you started. So that is where I'm going to leave it for tonight. I know that really wasn't a whole lot after waiting that whole time, but I'm gonna stop there, and then I think next time we can actually start with trying to build a site using some of the topics that we were talking about. If folks are here to chat, we can build a site together. So I think that would be really neat. Have a great night, y'all.